Have you ever read a headline that screams about a huge percentage increase, only to wonder what that really means for your community? Or perhaps seen a raw number that sounds massive but lacks context? Understanding whether data is presented as an absolute number or a relative number is absolutely vital for accurately interpreting any report. Absolute data shows the raw, exact count or amount, while relative data expresses a proportion, percentage, or rate compared to something else. This distinction is key to avoiding serious misinterpretations. The reason this distinction is so crucial is that absolute and relative numbers tell fundamentally different stories and serve different purposes. An absolute number gives you the sheer scale, like knowing there are 1,000 new residents in a city. This number tells you about the actual volume or total count. On the other hand, a relative number provides essential context and allows for meaningful comparisons. For example, stating that the city's population grew by 1%. 1% of 100,000 people is a very different impact than 1% of 10,000 people. Without both perspectives, you might overestimate or underestimate the real impact of a trend. A small absolute change in a huge population can still be a large number of people, while a large relative change in a tiny population might involve only a handful of individuals. Confusing these two types of data can lead to skewed perceptions about growth, decline, or any demographic shift you are trying to understand. It is like looking at a tree versus looking at a forest. Both are important but show different aspects of the same reality. So, how can you put this into practice when you are looking at reports? A simple yet powerful habit is to always ask yourself two questions. First, when you see a percentage or a rate, ask percentage of what total? Or rate out of how many? This helps you identify the base number from which the relative figure was calculated. Second, when you see a large absolute number, consider what is the total population or group this number comes from. This helps you put the raw count into perspective. For instance, if a report states that there are 500 new job openings, that sounds great. But if you also know that the local workforce is 50,000 people, then 500 new jobs represents only a 1% increase, which gives a clearer picture of growth. Always look for both the absolute and relative figures, or try to calculate the missing one if possible, to get a well-rounded view. Mastering this skill essentially turns you into a much savvier consumer of information, letting you spot subtle statistical tactics often used in public discussions or media reports. It allows you to move beyond just the headline and truly grasp the underlying facts. For example, knowing this helps you understand why a 50% increase in a rare medical condition among a very small group is less alarming than a 2% increase in a widespread condition across millions. It is particularly valuable when comparing demographic changes between communities of vastly different sizes, where a small absolute change in a large city could be a massive relative change in a small town. This insight helps you decipher the true significance of numbers, rather than being swayed by how they are framed. Ultimately, distinguishing between absolute and relative data in reports empowers you to understand complex information with confidence and clarity. It sharpens your ability to accurately interpret population trends, economic shifts, and community changes. By consistently seeking both the raw numbers and their contextual proportions, you build a much stronger foundation for informed decision-making, ensuring that your understanding is grounded in comprehensive reality, not just one side of the story. This practice makes you an expert at spotting the full truth in data.